Politics, indulgence, sexism, anger, betrayal, lies, revenge. Oh, and taxpayers' money too. These were all in play in today's extraordinary appearance at a parliamentary committee by former Australia Post CEO Christine Holgate. Holgate, you'll remember, embarrassed the government last year when she admitted she'd gifted $3,000 Cartier watches, a very fancy brand, I'm assured, to 4 executives who'd landed a multi-million-dollar deal for Australia Post with the major banks. At the time, the CEO didn't see that taxpayers had much of an interest in any of this.
I have not used taxpayers' money. We are a commercial organisation. And
You're
it was
a government organisation.
It was a recommendation from our chair that these people get rewarded.
Now, I've never been given a fancy watch or a big cheque as a bonus. Most of you wouldn't have either. Most of us don't get such rewards. And even though such gifts might happen in some businesses, you have to remember Australia Post is owned by taxpayers. Sure, it's commercial, but its assets belong to us, its losses belong to us, and its profits belong to us. So whatever is paid in bonuses or is spent on Cartier watches is money that would otherwise go back to taxpayers. And this was all revealed last year, of course, in a pandemic year when people in the private economy were losing their jobs or facing great uncertainty, with 1.5 million people on JobKeeper. So the optics at the time were terrible, leading to this swift response from Scott Morrison.
We are the shareholders of Australia Post, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Australian people. So that action was immediate. That action was immediate. And if the Chief Executive wishes to stand aside, well, not wishes to stand aside, she's been instructed to stand aside. And if she doesn't wish to do that, Mr Speaker, she can go.
Wow, we understand the sentiment, but wasn't this an overreaction? Especially given a broad consensus that Australia Post was well run and performing well, and previous CEOs had handed out bigger bonuses and rewards. Christine Holgate had the delegation to do this. She had broken no rules. Holgate, now a former CEO, didn't miss her opportunity to respond today.
I lost my job, a job that I loved, because I was humiliated by our Prime Minister for committing no offence and then bullied by my chairman.
She has a fair grievance, doesn't she? Clearly, Morrison could have expressed his dismay at the Cartier bonuses, demanded answers, and asked his ministers to set new guidelines for rewards like this. But he effectively ended her tenure in that one parliamentary spray. And Holgate says that rather than stand up for her, the chairman and board sought to please the Prime Minister and lied about her behaviour. Holgate's argument that she was unfairly dumped is strong. Some might say incontestable, but she's gone much further now, turning herself into a feminist martyr. She and her supporters wearing what they call suffragette white as a protest today. And she made a very emotional play to portray herself as the victim of both a partisan political war and the gender wars.
I was seriously ill. I was on temazepam. I was suicidal.
Holgate was highly political herself in seeking to contrast her treatment with that of male government MPs.
Members of Parliament who are being accused of the most terrible atrocities to women, proven with one of them, and they're allowed to stand and still remain in their jobs and represent our country. I was forced to stand down.
Now, this is where Holgate has undermined her argument, in my view. Instead of sticking to her treatment at the hands of the government and the Australian Post board, she's played to the hardcore Green Left crowd. This is where Holgate surrenders her rational case of mistreatment and unfair treatment and joins the noisy, irrational, ideological, anti-coalition mob. This is Twitter-level stuff. I guess if Morrison overreacted by condemning her so strongly in Parliament in a way that meant she lost her job, she's overreacting now, portraying herself as a victim in the gender wars. The truth is she lost sight of the circumstances or the encumbrances in her government-appointed role. Making a hero of yourself by buying Cartier watches with dollars that belong to taxpayers is just not on. especially in a pandemic recession. But even today, it seems Holgate doesn't quite get that.
Knowing what you know now, in hindsight, would you have bought the Cartier watches as rewards?
That's a big question, isn't it? Whoever thought we would be here, you know? And, you know, whether I'd probably buy them a Seiko watch in future? Senator, probably. But am I proud of the moment that I gave those people recognition for working 24 hours a day? I think that's what you would want your CEO to do.
Well, no, not when it's a government entity. Look, I reckon Holgate was hard done by and did not deserve to lose her job. She might have done better to admit her error immediately and change the practices at Australia Post rather than defiantly defend the Cartier giveaways. But she didn't break any rules, and the blemish was not enough to cost her her job. Perhaps what this episode highlights most is the folly of these government commercial enterprises. They're neither fish nor fowl. If you want Australia Post to run just like a business, then sell it, privatise it. Then there can be innovation and risk and reward without government involvement or taxpayer concerns. And who knows, there could be watches for all.